Hey there, everybody, and welcome to the Android Central Podcast. It's episode number 109 for Thursday, September 27th, 2012, and we are back. I feel like I keep saying that every week. It's like, hey, we're back because we blew off last week, but we had good reason for it last week, and we will talk about that in a minute. I am Phil Nickinson, your host for the podcast and the editor of AndroidCentral.com. And while we are back, we do have a bit of a changed-up lineup tonight. So we've got Jerry Hildenbrand from the site.
Hey.
And we're pulling our producer/editor of imore.com, Renee Ritchie, into this mess because, well, he's here, and otherwise it's just me and Jerry, and that never goes well. So, Renee Ritchie.
Hey, Phil. Hey, Jerry. Thank you for having me. Love you
and,
guys.
You know, Renee's got, like, things to add every now and then, so that's good as well. And, you know, you've had a little bit of news over the past week, too, so I think we can probably relate it all back to Android a little bit. So, I don't know. I forget how we do these. Let's talk about where the hell I was last week. Let's just get that out of the way. So I kind of teased it 2 weeks ago, but I ended up in Seoul, South Korea, of all places. LG brought, I think 10 people over for a media tour and asked me questions. What do you want to know? We saw all sorts of cool stuff. Where should I start?
The food.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The food was, I love Korean food. Food was awesome. I love kimchi. I love bulgogi. I love ojinga. I love spice. I love everything about it. I love beer. I love soju. I love soju bombs. I love the pink wine stuff. I forget what it's called. Boku something.
You're becoming the Tony Bourdain of smartphones.
We need a good title for that instead of no reservations, which I guess is ending. They have like 5 episodes left. If you've never seen it, it's this great kind of food/travel show on, who does it? History Channel? Travel Channel? Forget who has it.
It's
really good. Yeah, if you haven't seen it. No, what should we call it? No reservations,
no hesitations.
No hesitations, that's me. Just bottle up and go. No, the food was excellent. LG as hosts were excellent. It was a great trip. Saw a lot of cool stuff. I guess you want to talk about the phone. So part of the reason they did it last week was for the launch of the Optimus G, which you probably saw. And let me tell you, hey, traveling to Korea, flying 8,000 miles is probably not the best time to break in a new camera for a live event, just FYI. So when I have blurry images, that's why. But no, the Optimus G, I tell you, it's a pretty cool phone. So it's quad-core Qualcomm S4 Pro. And I think it's 1.5, 1.7 gigahertz, I forget what, a couple gigs of RAM. I mean, the thing is like fast. It's good. It's not a device. And we had pre-production units, so they were a little wonky on stuff. Like if you plugged them in, they had power running to them, they'd kind of quit working. But otherwise, they were great. The camera seems, I'm not too sure about it. And the weird thing about it was, and I swear I've never had this problem with cameras before, maybe one or two with phones, but I kept getting fingerprints on the lens. And I understand that's going to happen, but I just don't remember that like being a problem with the S3 or with the HTC One X. Maybe it's just because of the size and the shape and where the lens is, but I kept mucking up this lens, so every time we take pictures, we have to wipe it off. And I wasn't the only one. Brian from Contech noticed it too. And
it was
so
all
we were
that
talking
Korean barbecue on your fingers.
Maybe, yeah. It was just odd, but the phone is nice. The big thing for them is their new UX, and I forget all the buzzwords. I don't know. I mean, it's a UI that hasn't changed that much, and I'm kind of getting bored with the widget icon paradigm. Like, I want something new. I almost, we keep talking about a possible Amazon phone, and I want something different. Amazon's done something different. Barnes & Noble's done something different. I want somebody to do something different. Renee, are you feeling that at all with the iPhone? Because, look, it's boring.
Well,
I get it.
Are you asking if I'd be interested in an Amazon catalog UI? I mean, no.
But do you get tired of just seeing icons all day?
Yeah, I have two schools of thought on this. One is if you look at desktop computers, until you get to sort of like Metro with Windows 8, it's been the same desktop metaphor for decades, and that's because they're dragging this entire user base behind them. And we forget that smartphones have hundreds of millions, 200 million, 300 million, 500 million users who are used to pressing that icon, getting that button, finding that folder. And it's not just geeks like us who want to have like an Elan 1 experience or something. It's my mom, my sister, my father who will call me the minute they can't find that app drawer.
Right. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting bored with it. Like, it's there because it works, and I get that. And I still like widgets. I think my biggest problem right now, and I need to do this big thing on it, is spacing on the home screens. And it's weird how it changes from. I was talking to HCC about this when we were all together a couple of weeks ago. How you've got a 4x4 grid, and then the buttons down at the bottom, or the dock down at the bottom. But spacing between the spots where icons and widgets can go just varies so greatly phone to phone. And some of them are good, some of them aren't. I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see how everybody kind of fixes that a little bit. Just little things, little design things. I'm kind of getting tired of it. But the phone felt good. It's really thin. It's not light. It's pretty heavy. It's got don't call it glass on the back.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about.
I'm not sure what the deal is, but it's not glass. Watch my head for those watching the video. It's not glass.
The way Nokia is not plastic.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the deal is, but it's got this really cool design to it. They call it crystal reflective design, I think it is. So it looks like it has, the Galaxy Nexus has that rough back to it, right? It's got the texture to it. It almost looks like that if you put a sheet of something that were to be referred to as glass, nudge nudge, wink wink, on top of it. But I think that's actually etched into the glass itself. On the underside, so it feels totally flat from the back. So it's got a really
smooth.
nice, it's completely smooth. It's got a nice kind of chrome ring around it, so I mean it's well designed. We talked to the designers about it for a little while. They've certainly put some thought into this. I'm a little concerned about the iPhone comparison. I mean, look, it doesn't look like an iPhone, but
it's got rounded corners. It's got rounded corners.
And straight vertical sides, and so we'll see. I don't know if anything's going to come to that.
Look, the iPhone looks like an ice cream sandwich, and you've already got an ice cream sandwich, so we're good.
That's true. That's true. But it's a nice phone. I mean, I hate using the word flagship. I think it's overused because, especially in this space, because it changes so often. But I mean, this is their flagship, right? This is their big phone. This is bigger than the 2X was. It's bigger than the 4X was. I mean, this is their new baby, and they're going to push it out everywhere. So is it out in Korea yet? If not, it will be soon.
How does it feel compared to the 1X and the G3?
Very different. I mean, it feels like glass and metal, right? It feels substantial, whereas these feel plasticky because they are, right? I mean, that feel of glass in your hand, I like it. It just feels better. They are both substantially heavier.
We had one of those crazy analysts say that the iPhone was like a Rolex. So we got Kevin Michaluk to do a comparison between the iPhone and a Rolex and a Panerai and another watch, just to make it ridiculous because they're phones at the end of the day, right?
Right. But no, it feels nice. So will all the pieces come together? We'll see. It's not going to be from a lack of trying. So we don't know where it's coming in the U.S. yet. I honestly just don't know. But we will see it here somewhere. It's just a matter of when and which carriers. And you'll see a couple versions of it. There's in the big differentiator is the camera. So there's a 13 megapixel camera and an 8 megapixel, and we had 13 megapixel versions. And the camera sticks out a little bit. The 8 megapixel version is just completely flat in the back, and it's really nice. So, and we'll see how the different devices work differently.
Do you guys have an opinion on that? Because we're seeing phones that are thin with lower megapixel cameras and phones that are thick. I mean, I guess the peer view on that Symbian 41 megapixel phone is the extreme example. But do you care if the phone is thinner, if it has a worse camera, or do you want a better camera no matter what the thickness?
And I tell you, that phone is a brick. If you haven't held the peer view, was it 420, 60, whatever the number is?
Whatever the social security number is.
It is, I mean, like literally, it's a brick. It is heavy. It feels like a camera. It doesn't feel like a phone. I'm okay with a little bit of thickness, Jerry. What about you?
I prefer a phone a little bit thicker than our current crop. Just feels like I've got a better grasp on it. The Pure View is a little too thick for me, but I'm not going to say a phone is better because it's thinner.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could get a couple millimeters back into these things, and it would be okay.
Yeah.
That was actually something we talked to the designers. I forget who asked the question, but it's like, why don't you just, use this and use this and use this, and they're going through the things, and the guy's like, oh, because that would add, a quarter of a millimeter, and this would add another quarter of a millimeter, and that would add another millimeter. And the way that the Optimus G came down was, it basically sounds like the designers got specs from on high. Somebody from the Twin Towers, which we went to outside Seoul, it says from the voice of God, it will be less than 8 millimeters. It will weigh less than 10 grams or whatever. Really odd. But that's how it sounded. Like, all right, it's going to be here's the screen size you're going to use. Here's the screen tech you're going to use. Remember, LG makes their own displays. Here's how thick it's going to be. And it was really odd. I'm curious to see if the other manufacturers get that sort of thing. Whether, Samsung has people sitting in offices in Seoul just crunching numbers and saying, all right, here's it's going to, what it's going to be. You guys figure out how to do it. But that's very much how they did it. Like, they were given these specs and met them as best they could.
That's what happened with Sony and the PS3, right? They were told you have to use the Blu-ray from this department and this thing from that department. And
right.
Instead of the designers and engineers doing it, you suddenly have corporate doing it.
Yeah. We saw a production line. That was really cool. So, like every now and then you see pictures or video of a production line, but like we were there. We were, walking by people as they're mashing stuff together. And what was really cool is you walk in. So we also saw like some of the testing going on. So we saw the machines pushing buttons over and over and over and bending and flexing and doing environmental tests. So that was cool. But the production line, like you walk in and it's like banks of lines. There were probably 10 or so right where we were, and then a whole bunch on the other side of this giant room that weren't active. But up at the top, it says it has all these Korean letters and stuff, and I can't read it. But in English, you can see a designation of what the devices they're putting together. So there were a couple that were very obviously U.S. carriers, right? AT&T and Verizon, which I think we can say. I'm not going to say what the phones were, just out of respect. But like we're watching them put phones together that haven't officially been announced yet, which is really odd. But you would see the process. Now there's stuff already put together. Like I think at the beginning of the line was a woman, and it's all women working on these lines, by the way, and the managers are all men. So we would see this woman. She would take like the case, and I think maybe the PCB, and there was a little like air hose that she would shoot into the case of the thing to blow out any dust or whatever. And we're all wearing jackets and shoe covers and to keep dust out. But she would blow the air out and then smash them together or whatever. I think a little machine. No, then she put it down on the line. Another part would automatically put screws in it. And it would keep going and going. And at some point down at the end, you just see this box of like 50. I think it was 10 phones per shelf.
Wow.
I think it was 50 at a time. They all get plugged in, and they all get not just flashed, but that's where they get all the stuff that you can't erase, like IMEIs and things like that. And so it's just all being done right there. Like it's all coming together right there, and it's really cool. And you see these little Verizon logos poking up, and it's like, ooh, we can't take pictures of that, can we? But now you get a really good feel for how these kind of leaked pictures get out every now and then. I just see somebody like poking over their pocket, but hopefully none of us did it. I certainly didn't. But we get to see them putting phones together that aren't announced yet, and it kind of gives me an interesting glance at the timetable for when this will be available. And
you should have had a Dick Tracy camera ring or something.
No, I think that kind of spoils the whole point of the thing. And it's just interesting how many devices they make, for companies you've never heard of, and apparently they actually outsource some of the production to Chinese facilities too. So they said for like the stuff they don't, not that they don't care about, but like the really high end stuff they do in their factories. We saw a showroom, with all the products. I mean, nothing we hadn't seen before, but Jesus, if you ever get the chance to stand next to an 84-inch television, I highly recommend it. It's nice.
You didn't get any samples, did you?
No, not of the TV, not of the phone either. God, let me tell you about Korean just data. Wow. So Brian Klug from Adantech was there, and I mean, the man's a nerd. I don't think he'll mind me saying. But I mean, when you talk about people who know this stuff, a non-tech is who you talk about, right? So, and I've met a non, and he's the same way. That like these guys are just brilliant. It's in the U.S. I don't know how it is in Canada, but in the U.S., at least where I live, in the big cities, it gets a little different. But all our cell antennas, all the towers, they're high towers, right? Mm-hmm. So they get a bigger coverage area. Everywhere, we saw in Korea, at least in Seoul, in the city, they're much, much lower, like, 20 feet in the air instead of 50 or 75 or 100 or whatever. Much lower, and you see them much more often. So it's a much denser network. LTE was just perfect everywhere, and it was fast. I forget the bandwidth. I know we saw 10 megahertz. I want to say we saw 20 as well.
All I know is how annoying you were. You would keep Skyping us saying, I just downloaded this in 5 seconds. I just downloaded the whole, I finished the internet.
Well, that was over the hotel Wi-Fi, and I was getting like 100 down and 60 up or something.
My city doesn't have 100 down.
Yeah, which, for us is insane, although I think I saw Kosh from Clockwork Pod. Or see Clockwork? I forget.
Yeah.
Coach. Yeah. I think he saw him. He had like friggin' 300, 500 downloads in Seattle Day, which is pretty incredible. But yeah, like the internet there is just insane. But cell data, it works in a tunnel. We had LTE in a tunnel, and it didn't miss a beat. How insane is that? Like, can you imagine having a device that works all the time? I feel sorry for anybody listening who's on Sprint right now. I was at soccer practice before we came here, and one of the parents there, they got Galaxy Nexuses over the past year. So he's been asking me a lot of questions. He says, let me ask you something today. The battery life, how much does signal strength affect that? I said, well, let's take a look at your battery stats right there. And that doesn't look too bad, but you guys are on Verizon, right? He's like, no, we're on Sprint. I was like, oh, sorry. Kind of nothing I can do for you.
Whenever Kevin or I take an iPhone or a BlackBerry to the US, the minute it hits AT&T, you can watch the battery drain.
Yeah, you really can. It's tough.
It's like a third world country. I want to send Jimmy Carter to help you.
Yeah. What else? We did a little sightseeing. Yeah. We did. So that was Korea. Optimus G, it's coming. We'll have a review eventually of retail units, so that's good because the ones we did have were janky. Coming to a carrier near you eventually at one point. Any other questions before I put that trip behind me and look forward to the next one in a week and a half?
Did you see both models, the big camera and the little camera?
I did. I didn't use the 8 megapixel one, but a couple people had them.
Any difference other than the camera size? Or?
I don't think so. I think that's about it. We'll have to see. And again, it's going to change by region. So like
right.
Koreans probably going to get the 13 megapixel, but carriers and whoever can order whatever it is they want. So that will change. Yeah, that's all I can think of. So let's move on. We need to talk a little bit about this scary dialer hack attack thing that sort of happened this week, even though it happened a long time ago and nobody noticed. Jerry, you want to walk us through exactly what it was? Actually, you missed it the other morning.
Well, I didn't miss it on accident. Let me tell you that. It's if I think the biggest examples that we're going around is somebody you don't know sends you a text with a shortened URL in it.
Right.
And that's a redirect to a website that's running a little script in the background, and that URL is actually a dialer code.
Right.
That opens up the dialer on your phone. And if you've ever read forums or if you're into hacking or playing around with your phone, you open the dialer and you can dial in, some stuff to get to the programming mode and do all kind of really cool stuff. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, with the Samsung phones, there's also was a way to send a dialer code that erases all your data and factory resets your phone.
Doesn't just do that. Yeah, like it wipes everything. I tried it on my Galaxy S3 and I got CyanogenMod on this one, so I backed up first and it wipes everything. Pictures gone. The backed up ROM's gone. So that's the scary thing, right? it wasn't one thing, and I think this is what the problem was. First off, I know it's not a USSD code, whatever people are freaking out about exactly what to call it. It was kind of a culmination of things, right? So it's that these earlier Samsung ROMs, because they'd actually already started patching it, right? And AOSP patched it a little while ago.
Yep.
Right, Jerry?
And that's, I'm going to go off the rails on that.
We'll let you rant on that in a minute. But, all right, so it was a culmination of having these codes in the ROMs that could wipe the device if you type something into the dialer, right? That in and of itself, I'm a little wary of, but it's not the end of the world. And then, I'd call it an exploit maybe, where a browser is allowed to run a dialer command like that, unchecked, right? No prompt, nothing to say, hey, are you sure you want to do that? Just
right.
As soon as it's run, the phone blinks and erased, everything gone. That's where it's bad. The fact that both of these things can happen on one device was bad. But then it started getting messy, and you wake up and see this, it's like, damn, that's pretty bad. And then you start looking at, there was confusion over which phones it would work on, and so who really needed to be concerned about it, and whether it's a browser thing, whether it's, because it could work from a website in a browser, but you could get to it directly from from a text message, but that has to kick open a browser, just weird stuff, right? So it was kind of messy about who could worry about it and who couldn't. But I don't think it's as big a deal as we kind of made it out to be at first. I mean, it's not like we heard about thousands of people getting their phones wiped.
Right. As far as the security scare part of it is, hey, if you're clicking links that are, shortened link shortener links from people you don't know in a text message, if you click that link, you deserve what you get. I'm sorry.
And we've all done it. But yeah.
I mean, I don't want to point any fingers at anybody, but just don't click random links that you don't know where they're going to. Just don't ever do that.
Which has always been true, like on PCs and everything. That's not new.
Right.
Yeah, but I tell you, it still scares the hell out of me because everybody uses shortened links now. We use them. Twitter uses them. Everybody uses them. I mean, is there a better way to handle it? Is there a better way to check those links before you just start pasting them in your browser and go to Meatspin? I'm not letting Jerry put Meatspin links into the site.
I don't know. There are on the desktop. There are extensions. All I have to do is hover my mouse over a short link, and it tells me what the real link is. Let's put that in the phones. All right, developers, you now have a plan. Do it. Send it to me. I will make you famous, and everybody will download it. We need that bad.
Yeah.
But the fact that the browser will intercept dialer codes, that's a good thing. You want to be able to tap a phone number and dial it.
Sure.
The fact that the phone dialer will accept codes to do diagnostic and programming, that's a good thing. You need to do it. Mm-hmm. It's just the way the two mesh together. I don't think anybody figured out, there's smart people on the internet that are going to figure out a way to exploit this. And that's what happened.
Well, there should probably be a modal intercept that says, are you sure you want to do this? With a plain English explanation for what it is.
Especially for that one.
Yes.
Or, I'm not exactly sure what Google did, but I do know this was patched in early June for the, in ice cream sandwich, not just in the jelly bean code. And that's my big problem with the whole thing. Since early June, and I'm going to pick on Samsung here because their phone got the worst in this case, but I don't mean just Samsung. It's everybody. From Samsung since June, we've seen cameras. Today we saw music players. We've seen huge commercials that had, just tons and tons of production time. Fix all those damn Galaxy S2s that you sold 40 million of them that everyone's vulnerable. Do that first, Samsung. Then play with the camera.
And don't let the carrier stop you.
Right.
That's the other thing.
Do it through your app store. Download something through Samsung apps or through keys. Just do it.
With great market share comes great responsibility.
Exactly. There are people out there that will never read Android Central. They'll never look at Twitter. They'll never look at Google+. They won't know. And one day they're going to get a text message, click a link, and their phone's going to erase, and they're not going to know what the hell to do. and that's just not fair.
Yeah.
So I mean that's my whole.
Yeah, I mean that was the other problem I had with all this is there was confusion over whether it was a stock browser, whether it was a stock dialer, whether it was the quote Android dialer, as some sites were calling it. But does HTC use the Android dialer, or is that? And I honestly don't know. Is it an AOSP dialer that is just skinned? Is it their own dialer? Is it same for Samsung, same for LG, same for everybody, right? Like everybody customizes the hell out of these things. I have no idea what's stock, what isn't, what's broken with these exploits and what isn't.
I don't know. I want to make sure everybody knows we're not cheerleading here. The only people that like a cheerleader are other cheerleaders. This is a real issue. It's not as big as it was played out everywhere. And like Phil said, maybe we hyped it up a little bit too much at first, but it is a real issue. And the only people that can fix it, it's not Verizon, it's not T-Mobile, it's not anybody but Samsung. They can fix it. It should have been fixed now. And we should have at least have some word on, they sold 40 million Galaxy S2s. A lot of people love that phone. I have one. I like mine.
And this is one of those rare cases where I think a little bit of overreaction is probably okay, just because of the potential of what this could have done, or what it still can do. I mean, because that's about as bad as it gets.
Right.
This isn't some little exploit where somebody can take over your phone, which, face it, never friggin' happens. This is
unless you're Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah. It's this is oh my god, somebody could possibly see your files on an SD card that's insecure anyway. This is your phone is gone, your pictures. I mean, this is like Matt Honen's worst nightmare writ large.
Yeah. And it's airborne. It's Matt Honen gone airborne.
Yeah, it's airborne, exactly.
The instructions for me to do it with a cheap website from GoDaddy are everywhere. I mean, in 5 minutes I could start text spamming you and hope it would click something. And that's just not good. I am all for Samsung or HTC or even LG, whatever. Take Android, make it your own. Google gives you a product they think is good. You have ways you want to differentiate, make it better. Go for it. I love Android-based operating systems. In fact, I use one every day. But when it comes to security patches, you need to watch upstream what Google fixes when they find their mistakes. And you need to get it done.
Yeah, everybody makes mistakes. It's the reaction time afterwards that matters.
Right.
Yeah. I want to shift a little bit. Speaking of mistakes, since we've got Renee here, let's talk maps.
Ouch.
No, not. It happened to Renee here. It was not the mistake. But I want to talk to Renee about maps a little bit. I dabble in iOS. I dabble in everything. I like to use everything.
You're a polygadgetist.
I know. So I finally got around to playing with the iOS maps today. And, just on a lark, I think it will route you from where you are to where you are. So it gave me directions on how to get from my chair, in which I'm sitting right now, around the block and back to my chair, which was interesting. I don't think I've ever tried that on Google. I need to.
Nice.
But the problem was it took me onto FAA property, and that's bad.
Yeah.
And then I said, all right, take me to my grandparents' house. And it took me again on FAA property, only this time it was through woods and across a driving range.
Was it a straight line, Phil? Was it a straight?
In fact, it was a straight line. I tell you, it almost gives me the feel like they had some sort of algorithm that looked at the map itself, like visually.
Yeah.
And said, all right, that looks like a road, so we're going to treat it like a road.
You take Nickerson as a crow flies.
Yeah, basically. So I don't know. I kind of don't care about why they got rid of maps. I kind of don't care about the timing. I mean, it's interesting talk, but I mean, it's certainly within Apple's purview to do it. Why the hell don't we have Google Maps on iOS yet? I mean, it's a big deal. It's a big friggin' product. Were they really caught that unaware, do you think?
Oh, hell no. Unless they completely don't read our blogs, Phil, in which case you people got to start reading Mobile Nations.
We knew 6 months ago. You got to be sure Google knew.
We knew years. I mean, Apple started buying map companies in 2009. If I was Google and I saw Apple buying map companies, I would have been on that phone going, hey, Steve, yeah, Eric, can we talk for a second? Bubula.
Do you want Google Maps back? Do you
Oh,
miss it?
I think one of the huge advantages of iOS is that we get a lot of good Apple apps and a lot of, I mean, they're not as good as Android, but we get a lot of really good Google apps. We have YouTube, Gmail, Google Plus. That's one of the reasons I like using iOS. I get stuff from everybody, and it bothers me that I don't have Google Maps yet because I would like to use it.
At what point do we see that become a selling point for Android phones? You know, the Galaxy S4 with Google Maps.
I think it's a little late for that. There was all this talk, I mean, I don't want to get too much into the drama, but there was this talk that Apple and Google were kind of, they bicker like a nasty divorced couple. And it's us kids that suffer. Like, like Apple wanted turn-by-turn and vector tiles. Google wanted latitude and branding and access to data. And it's like War of the Roses over maps, which is kind of ridiculous if you step away for a minute. But that was a feature for Google, and they didn't want to give it away for nothing. They wanted to have a proper recompense for the work they put into it, which is entirely fair. And as you guys well know, Google Maps on Android has been spectacular. And because of this quarreling, Google Maps on Google data fed into the Apple Maps app on iOS has been completely stagnant since Street View. And ultimately, we'll end up with both Apple Maps and Google Maps, and both companies will be free of each other. They'll live full, happy lives separately, and we'll get two great apps. But it's going to be a lot of pain and a lot of turbulence until that happens.
Jerry, yeah, your thoughts?
Well, the biggest question I have is, let's say that you wake up tomorrow morning and Google Maps is in the App Store. Isn't that going to take away all the crowdsourcing data that Apple wants because everybody's instantly going to download it because the internet told them to?
It depends on, there are people who still don't know how to find the YouTube app. So there's always going to be a part of Apple's audience that isn't blog news and otherwise fed. I think the problems with Apple Maps, especially the media attention that they're getting, will probably encourage a lot of people into going to Google Maps. But Apple has, the thing is that it's not just Google Maps. Google Maps fed every other app on iOS. When you were a developer and you embedded map tiles and map data, that was Google Maps. Now, all of those maps, unless they separately, independently, and expensively go and license Google Maps, they're feeding you Apple tiles. So Apple will benefit, even if you're using the Google Maps app, they'll benefit from you using Foursquare. They'll benefit from you using Yelp and all these other apps. So Apple won't get the complete package, but they'll still get a lot.
Because, I mean, I played a little bit with the iPhone 5, didn't bother to fool with maps. I only had a few minutes with it. But I did talk to a couple people that wasn't it Navigon that ran out and licensed turn by turn really quick and threw it in the App Store? I mean, they got that through fast.
Well, Navigon's had turn by turn for a long time. I think it was Street View maybe that they... Because we lost Street View and we got Flyover. So basically we lost human directions and we gained Superman. If you're Superman, you can now travel with maps much better. But if you're a human, you can't. But yeah, I mean, that's always been in the App Store. It's been good for me. I did a lot of testing with it. And if you're in one of the areas, like Montreal is one of the cities that one of the map companies that Apple bought was based in. So we have excellent data. And it's actually better for me than a lot of the third-party turn-by-turns, which had me driving literally into circles and cul-de-sacs. And Apple's Maps is good. But if you're in an area of small town or poor coverage, it's a showstopper for you. And there's no transit directions. I mean, we forget how much work Google did to license all these petty fiefdoms, quarreling, quibbling little companies and cities and make transit apps. And that was non-trivial. And Apple is just basically punting that into developers' hands. So if you have a good transit app in your city, like I do, you're fine. If you don't, again, it's a game stopper.
I just wish, you know what, let's lock the people in charge of Google and the people in charge of Apple in a room and not give them food or let them out until they come to some sort of agreement where we get stuff like music content and, the special deals Apple has with Hollywood on the Google Play Store, and Apple gets great search, crowdsourced data and maps. Let's just make that happen. Renee, that's a project for you next week.
When you guys run Google and I run Apple, we're going to make that deal. You'll get iTunes and we'll get the cloud services.
That works.
Let's move into just kind of the other stuff going on. We had a nice little chat Jerry and I did about how we would fix the Nexus Q if and when it gets re-released. I think we're still going to go back and forth on whether it's going to get re-released, right?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so, but who knows?
It was so audacious. It would be a pity if they didn't follow through with it at least a little bit.
Well, I want to stand up and say that for Jerry, who is very much not the average use case scenario, the Nexus Q is perfect. It's exactly what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly $100 more than I think it should have been, but it's perfect for me. And I'm even fascinated by the blinking LEDs and love the fact that I don't have to hide it with the DVR in the case.
Right.
But I see everybody's point where they say they want more. You see the Vizio Co-Star for $99 or this Ouya game console going to come out for $99. God damn, Google! I'm sorry, Google can make that and do a better job. We know they can. So let's do it.
Yeah, I think they will. I don't want to hash over too much. We've talked about it so much, but yeah. This was just a good list, I think. You know what I really want to see? I want that little bright light that sticks out the front of it to like scan my life and just listen in and sell me ads based on
Tron.
what it hears.
HAL.
Oh, see, I was thinking it would scan you and put you inside the queue. Oh, all right.
It'll sell me like earplugs, diapers probably.
Now I want to see Phil in a disc fight, Jerry, really badly.
My life is so boring.
Phil wants some Skynet going on in his place. I don't want Google to know that I need diapers. Well, I don't want anybody to know if I need diapers. But
my kids.
That's funny. That's one of the classic examples. You talk about these companies collecting data. One of the classic examples is the guy leaving the store with diapers and beer cans in his basket. And that's what you want to do shopping basket analysis for. So the diapers is exactly it, Jerry. They know.
Yeah. Barnes & Noble, new tablets. Nook 7-inch
Interesting looking,
HD,
aren't they?
9-inch HD. Yeah, I haven't played with them yet. Cool. I said it earlier. I still think Barnes & Noble's going about it the right way. I forget who. Somebody said something this week, and all the buzzword these days is ecosystem, right? It's all about ecosystem. And I think people are looking at it backwards. I look at companies like Barnes & Noble and Amazon, which already have ecosystems, and then they bring the hardware to it, versus somebody like smartphone manufacturers who have no ecosystem, but they have the hardware, right? And you see how hard they're struggling to build an ecosystem, and it's damn near impossible. And honestly, I don't think they could do it. And then the same thing for Apple. Apple built the ecosystem first through iTunes, right? And nobody can deny that power that they have over, or not over, but the power that they had to bring all the labels, the music labels, and the movie studios around to their way of thinking, or at least to see the money on the table. So I'm interested to see how well these do. I don't think Barnes & Noble's ever going to do as well as Amazon is. Amazon's never going to do as well as the iPad is. But they're still going about it the right way, and I love how they forked Android. And it's just not a typical, icon and widget tablet experience. And Google kind of half-assed that, I think, with the Nexus 7 with some nice-looking widgets, but it's still not the same thing. So look for those when we get them. Jerry, you did your review of the new Kindle Fire 7-inch, right?
Well, it's not posted yet. But
is it not posted yet?
The first one was the quick. We do 2 reviews. We've had it for a day review, and then we go back and look at it again. The first one is up. Yeah,
is the second one done? I could swear I saw it.
It's in the back unfinished. It's not up quite yet. I'm wanting to
it's okay.
Look over a few things again. But it's. I'm not afraid to talk about it a little bit. The first thing I'll tell you is, if you want to buy a 7-inch Android tablet, don't buy it.
Really?
It's just a ridiculous waste of money when you can buy the Nexus 7 and you can talk to me about, I want the better speakers. I hear the screen's better. Yeah, screen's a little bit better. Speakers are a little bit better. But it's a huge pain in the ass to do anything except Amazon on it. So, save yourself the time, the trouble, and the money and buy a Nexus 7.
Which has all the Amazon stuff on it.
Right, and put the Amazon App Store, and you have everything except Amazon streaming video, and then sideload Flash and put Firefox on it, and then you have, Android or Amazon streaming video. The portal to Amazon itself, Oh, they did a good job on that, Phil. I mean, they did a really good job. I didn't use the original Fire too much. Uh, I used it enough that I can make a fairly decent comparison.
Sure.
There's no front-facing user features, but everything is more streamlined. Tap something, and it's you no longer, when you tap a link to movies, you can go straight to your Prime live free streaming, or you can buy movies or you can rent movies all from the same screen. It's everything Amazon right there for you. And that's the selling point. There's if you would take that kind of, if I wasn't a big Amazon customer, to me it would be a huge waste of money. But we are big Amazon customers, and I think it has a place. It's a device a lot of people are going to like. But if you're listening to this podcast and you read Android Central, that's probably not you. Just buy the Nexus 7.
But if you're buying it for a family member who won't read Android Central because it's
exactly.
I still love how Amazon has brought their ecosystem out to everybody.
Yep.
Like, I can get to it. Well, you can't get movies on Android yet, right?
No, not. And you know what? I bet we never can.
No, I disagree. I bet we can at some point. You can do it on the iPad.
But if you can do it on the $199 or rumored $99, and there's your segue in a minute, back into a cheaper tablet, there's no reason for you to buy the Kindle Fire HD.
That's all Amazon's thing, right? They said they'll put their stuff on anybody. They want their stuff everywhere.
See, maybe I'm way off the mark. I just never pictured that coming. I thought that was something they'd want to keep to themselves a little bit more.
I don't know if you saw it, but Chris Umiastowski did a post about the cheap data plans and whether other companies like Apple and Google will strike deals to give affiliate fees for app downloads to reduce data prices to carriers. I don't think Apple would do it, but I could see other players maybe incentivizing cheaper data plans on their tablets too, which would be nice.
Yep. Oh, and that's one more thing I wanted to talk real quick about the Fire HD. A lot of was made about the ads, and first off, if you don't like the ads, give them $15. You can take them away. I love the ads. Man, I've saved like $80 because of those ads. Get free music, got a free movie, a couple free books, $15 if I buy my next item, using this code, all kind of great stuff. So don't dismiss that little bit of extra tie-in with Amazon. That's, a lot of good deals you can get if you're an Amazon customer.
I like it. I'm looking forward to the 10-inch one getting here. God, it's not till the end of November.
But yeah, yours is going to have that monstrous resolution. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it is. It'll be fun. It'll be interesting to see it up against the iPad.
It's nice that we're going high DPI on a lot of devices now. It's like that's going to be the future.
It is. I make no bones about it. I hop between the Nexus 7. I use the Nexus 7 for gaming, and I use the iPad for reading when I'm home, just because it's bigger and I like it for reading. But I use apps on the Nexus 7 more. But I have no problem hopping between the displays at all. The Kindle Fire I can't go back to at all. It looks like crap now. Even the iPad too. I'm just like, okay. But yeah, no, I totally agree.
I can see pixels. No, make it stop.
My eyes. Speaking of tablets, there's a rumor that came out from Digitimes today through its manufacturing sources that says, all right, by the end of the year, we're going to see a slimmer Nexus 7 tablet. There will be a was it $150 one? No, $199 and $99.
It was. I mean, the important thing is the $99 one.
Yeah, you were correct, Phil.
Here's my only problem with the $99 one. I think they're missing a lot of stuff there. Actually, I mean, going back and looking, so while I was gone last week, there was a rumor Paul Ryan heard about a $99 cellular version. That makes sense. When you start getting mobile companies to subsidize it, I'll totally buy the $99 price point. Otherwise, I just don't think they can pull enough tech out of the thing to make it worth your while and to get the price down that much. I don't, lower resolution's not going to do it. Less memory is not going to do it. That's so minuscule when it comes down to the actual price of the device.
It costs $130 to make a last generation iPod, so it's not going to be cheap to make anything that's significantly better than that.
And I don't want to talk bad about it. I love my Nexus 7, but at $199, it's right on the edge for quality control and production. Right. If you get any cheaper than that, there's going to be nobody looking over the shoulders to make sure these things are decent when they come off the line.
Yeah, and these companies are in it to make money. I mean, no one's going to want to lose $100 as a tablet just to gain market share at this point.
Right. Even Amazon won't do that, and they're crazy.
I made a joke on Twitter that people start giving you $100 to take their tablet. But I mean, that's basically what we're talking about here. They're cashing out $100 to get that tablet in your hands, and there's almost no business model where that makes sense unless it's the subsidy that Phil said, and you're going to get $2,000 in revenue back for it.
Yeah. So, yeah. People keep asking about the next Nexus. We got a couple emails and voicemails we'll listen to in a second. I don't know. I mean, look, as far as I know right now, there's no next Nexus.
He's lying, guys.
The Nexus Next.
Don't you dare cut this out.
Phil just broke it. The Nexus Next is coming.
He called me from Korea, and he says, I have 11 Nexuses here, all different, all new. Oh, my God.
My bed is covered in Nexus Eye.
When we were in the production facility in Seoul last week, and we told people, hey, we're watching them make phones, and then people are tweeting back, see if anyone looks like a Nexus. Oh my God. No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think it's 50-50. I'm really not prepared to make a call on that. But as of right now, and you guys know how I am. I don't, it ain't official till it's official. But right now, I'm operating like there is no new Nexus. So keep that in mind as we answer these questions here.
What was interesting to me is that Google they brilliantly counter-programmed the iPhone with the Nexus line, going back to the original one at CES, because all the iPhone hype was dead by then. Everyone was desperate for something new, and on came the Nexus, and it got every geek in the world wanted to have one immediately. But now the iPhone is coming out in the fall, so the end-of-year release for the Nexus is during the same hype cycle.
Right.
So I don't know if just the timeline might shift.
It's really weird timing right now. On one hand, we've got, a busier fall than we've ever seen, right? We've got the Galaxy Note 2 is coming. Yep. In fact, they just announced an event today for New York City, October 24th for something big. They didn't say what it was, but it's got to be the Galaxy Note 2. LG has this phone coming out later this year. We've still got the Motorola Razr HD coming out, probably, I would guess November, probably. So, I mean, it's not like we don't have new stuff coming, but a new Nexus. We've talked about it before. I just don't know. So, if I knew and couldn't tell you, I wouldn't talk about it at all. You guys know how I work. So,
but I'll go on record saying that, and I'm still hear people complain about their Verizon Nexus, and I'm not trying to rub anything in you guys' faces. The Nexus from the Play Store, I could be satisfied with for another year after the Jelly Bean update.
Yeah.
I would love to have something new to play with, but don't bother making something new just for the sake of making something new.
So you're saying a Keyline Pi Nexus is the next logical point in time, Jerry?
I'm on the nerd side of thing. I look back, and ever since the G1, Google releases development phones whenever they have new APIs and new things they want to support. With Intel getting into the smartphone space, this is a really good time to make a new Nexus. That's just Jerry's from the gut call. Other than that, I mean, what new technology is bouncing around out there? It's not NFC. That's old. Wi-Fi Direct is old. If it's not Intel right now, I don't think there's a reason to make a new one yet.
So expect it when you see it.
I wouldn't mind if they just slapped a good camera in the current thing and called it
yeah.
I would buy it all over again. I really would. And with that, why don't we do some emails and voicemails real quick, and we'll get out of here. We ready with the voicemails,
yes,
Renee?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Start with Joel.
Hi, this is for the Android Central podcast. My name is Joel. I just had a question for everybody. My upgrade is in November, early October or so, and I was just wondering whether I should wait for the next Nexus device if you guys think it's going to be coming out soon, or I should buy Samsung Galaxy S3 or Samsung Galaxy Nexus. So, all right, I appreciate the time. Thanks, guys.
Well, I mean, you just heard what I think about the next Nexus. I mean, look, if you want, I am almost completely happy with CyanogenMod 10 on the Galaxy S3. And yeah, I mean, I know I said earlier this year I was kind of down on the physical home button on this thing, and I still kind of am, I guess, on principle. But in real life use, it's fine. I've gotten used to it. CM10 is nice. I like stock Android. Stock Android on this thing just looks good. The only thing I really miss is the Samsung camera app. Right, the stock Android camera app just isn't. It doesn't have all the features. It doesn't. It's got panorama built in, but it's just okay. It doesn't have HDR, and I like playing with HDR. So Samsung's always had a good camera app. So that's my thing.
We have that standard Mobile Nations line where if you absolutely need a new phone now, buy one now. Otherwise, wait until you absolutely need one and then buy the best one you can.
Right.
If you go buy a Galaxy S3 right now because you like everything it does, it'll keep doing that until you break it 5 years from now.
And it goes back to the whole update thing. I understand people are upset. They see these new versions come out and they want updates, and you should get updates. I really do think you should. But if you don't get it, you're still left with, in most cases, a perfectly functioning phone. I know that's not true for every phone out there, but for the most part, something you buy now is going to be pretty good. I mean, we're not talking, freaking Motorola Click, or what was the other one that just got left behind? Was it the Click? Maybe it was the Click.
Oh, it probably was the Click.
No, it was a Samsung phone, I think.
The Flip,
Sprint, maybe. I don't remember.
Backflip.
No, oh god, we started on that. But it's on one hand you're trying to keep up with the Joneses. On the other, it's a losing battle when you're talking about a device that you buy from a carrier. If you have to have updates, get a Nexus.
I'll also put a shout out in there for the One X because a lot of people just go for the G3, but I think the One X is a nice phone.
Absolutely. No, and I'm still I've got them both sitting here charged up. I keep these charged up because I can leave the house with either one, and I make a point to leave the house with or the other, or the Galaxy Nexus actually. But these are kind of my two main phones right now. I'm looking forward to trying some of the new Motorola stuff. I haven't actually seen any of it yet.
So many good choices now. It's amazing.
Just
really a few years ago.
There really, really are. And I mean, I have talked about it before and have written about it. I mean, I can leave the house with any of these phones and be perfectly fine with it. I'm fortunate to be in that position. I understand that most people can't. But, if I know I'm going to a place that doesn't have AT&T LTE, I'll leave the One X at home if I'm traveling, right? There's just kind of no reason to carry it.
First nerd problems.
I know. I wish everybody had this problem. All right, let's do Fernando.
Hey, guys. I'm calling for the Android Central podcast. My name is Fernando Diaz from Miami, Florida. I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you what do you guys think. I think the reason why the Galaxy phones are selling, well, beside the name brand, is also because Samsung is offering an SD card with it and removable battery. I think if those two features would have been taken off, like the One X, I think it wouldn't have sold as much as it's selling now. I'm sure the One X would have had an SD card with removable battery. For one, I would have bought it because I love the design on it and the screen must be awesome. But if it doesn't have an SD card or removable battery, then for me it's a no-no. So I think that's one of the reasons why the Galaxy line and the Galaxy Note is selling. I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure if they didn't put an SD card on those phones, it wouldn't have sold as much, man. All right, guys, take care. What do you guys think about it? Bye-bye.
I think 425 million iPhone users will disagree.
It's not a mainstream feature.
It really isn't. Any manufacturer you talk to, and HTC tries to beat us into our head anytime we say, well, why did you let AT&T do a 16 megabyte version, not 32? They have data, right? You can do surveys and look at people's phones and see how much they're actually using. We do not count. If you're listening to this podcast, chances are you do not fall into the normal user category either.
I've got the international One X, and it's got 24 gigs free out of 32 total. And I think any of us here, chat room included, we are the power user set. I just don't happen to need local storage. And a lot of people probably fit into that.
And the thing, like for me, I am a power user. I filled up my 32 gigabyte iPhone 3GS, but since I have iCloud now and Dropbox and there's iTunes Match, there's almost nothing on my phone anymore. I mean, maybe 23 megapixel panoramas will fill it up, but nothing else comes close.
I'm still trying to figure out how to do my offline music strategy. And I'm going back and forth because I'm the Zune HD needs to be put out to pasture eventually. Although I haven't even filled that up. I mean, I bought a 64 gigabyte card when they were on sale for like $50 for the GS3, but I'm having issues with it. Like stuff's not necessarily copying over, but at the same time, I need this to be a phone, right? I need it to be an email device when I'm working. So I kind of don't want that temptation, but I kind of don't want an Android device. I'm getting off on a tangent. I don't know, man. It's I mean, if you have to have an SD card, buy something with an SD card. I think it's pretty simple.
If you have to walk around with a video camera on your forehead recording every minute of your day, you might fill up that card.
Yes. Don't do that. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. All right, last one. I'm sorry. I couldn't understand your name because there's a lot of noise, but here you go.
Hey, this is Sergio calling in regards to episode 108. I have a question, actually, because I have a Sprint Samsung Galaxy S2. I was loving the phone, but recently I've been having major issues with battery life on it, and what I mean by that is that it doesn't charge. The battery just continuously dies, and I'm using third-party chargers, and even when it's on, I can only charge it when it's off. Now, I have found my little ghetto workaround. I'm using an HTC charger from my father's phone, and it seems to charge normal very slowly. I've Googled this many times, and what I found out is that apparently there seems to be an issue with the latest ice cream sandwich update. I'm at the point where I'm at my wit's end. I've ordered another battery, but I don't think it's going to work. My phone tends to overheat a lot when it's charging, like it's about to explode. I'm actually debating about just biting the bullet, buying a whole phone, even though I'm not eligible for an upgrade. And I was thinking between the S3 and 4G for a phone. I was wondering what you guys thought about this, if maybe you know a workaround so that I won't have to go ahead and bite the bullet, or if I should buy a new phone, which one do you think would be better, the LTE 4G or the for the Evo or the S3? I'd appreciate any feedback you got. You guys on my favorite podcast. You guys have an awesome day.
A couple things, I think.
The first thing I would do is walk into a corporate Sprint store, set it on the counter, and say, what's wrong with my phone?
Yes.
You may walk out of there with a replacement that works.
Ooh, that is true. The other thing I was thinking, and this is something I run into having this many devices here, is, I especially when we get review units, I don't like having to open up the, USB cord just to plug it because, these things I have to repack them later and it's a pain. So I, just have one or two chargers laying around. While they're all USB, they're not all built the same. I don't know what these companies do to these damn cords and the pins inside and the plugs, but some of them won't charge as quickly. And I'm sure somebody can explain that to me, but it's not good. I hate it when they do that. And Samsung phones are culprits. I've definitely seen it with Samsung phones. So, the charger you're using, the cable you're using might well be the issue. Jerry's right. It could well be something wrong with the phone too.
Well, if it won't charge at all unless the phone's shut off, it sounds like there's something internally going wrong with it as well. Lower amp chargers, higher resistance in the wire. That's the kind of stuff Phil was talking about. That's real. I've got a bunch of stuff here too, and like you said, some of it just doesn't work with different brands. But if it won't charge at all, it won't even trickle, and the battery dies unless it's shut off while it's plugged in. I mean, I really got to believe that's a device hardware problem.
Yeah.
Listen to Jerry. Listen to Phil.
There's no shame in taking a device in and being like, hey, it's not doing something. I mean, I'm glad we have all the answers. But Jerry's right. If they're going to come out with a new phone, first thing they'll say is no.
Yeah.
They're happy to take your check every month, so they should be happy to at least talk to you.
All right, let's do some emails and we're out of here. Jack writes, I will be taking a trip to England in May and I want to bring my phone. I will be getting the next Nexus phone if it's on Verizon. And if it isn't, I will get the current Galaxy Nexus, also on Verizon. How would I bring this overseas? I'm hoping to get a SIM from 3, that's the carrier over there, a carrier over there, which offers unlimited data for about $30 for a month. I will get the Nexus from Verizon, subsidized and all that. Do I need to unlock the phone to use the SIM from 3, or can I just slot it in? I know nothing about this. Hope you can help. That's a good question. I never thought about that for Verizon. Because the Verizon one's LTE, so it's got a SIM card slot.
Yeah, but it's a CDMA voice. He's going to have to either take Verizon's international roaming plan or take a different phone.
Ooh. Sorry, dude. That sucks.
Yep. But check with Verizon's international roaming. If it fits what you're going to need, there's a good chance you can just throw Verizon $50 and it's covered and you don't have to fool around with, anything else. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure how that international roaming works with CDMA phones. I've never tried it, but I do know it's possible.
A friend of mine took it over. She got to England and it just didn't work at all, despite her having gone to a store. I'm trying to find the rates.
It's expensive.
Well, it depends. AT&T's not bad anymore. I mean, it's still not cheap, but international.
It's the carrier equivalent of actuarial math.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. AT&T, I got 300 megabytes for $60 for this last trip, and you can do 800 megs for $120, which not cheap, but also nowhere near as bad as it used to be.
Right.
I mean, it used to be almost out and out gouging, and it was bad.
Hey, Phil and I were talking about this before the show, but do you think other carriers, because the iPhone 5 on Verizon is SIM unlocked for non-US carriers, you think we're going to see more of that on phones?
I was going to ask you. That was another reason I wanted you on here, was to ask that question. And I'm not sure if I was asked Verizon, or if they even know, right? 'Cause I know we've got new stuff coming out on Verizon, these Motorola phones. Probably some HTC stuff. So will they be unlocked?
As far as I know, and we've got a bunch of Verizon users in the chat room, and the Resound is the one I'm specifically thinking of. If you bought it from Verizon and you just take it anywhere outside the U.S., you stick a SIM card in it and it will work. I mean, for calls and data, I'm not sure the speed. Do you have to have Verizon unlock you or anything like that? I know it's a pain to get it to work inside the States, but
you got to have the right bands, I guess, just to support the data.
Yeah, and you have to have the right bands. If you're going to England, you should be okay. England's 900, I believe.
But I like this idea of carriers not carrying once you're out the country. I understand it's their business to carry in the country, but outside the country, it costs them nothing, and it's such a good customer service.
Well, I mean, it costs them a little bit of money, but yeah, you're going to get so much goodwill by doing that. I don't know, maybe if you're a business traveler, I could see them like on corporate accounts, but I can't see them doing it on corporate accounts, but not on personal accounts. Let's get rid of CDMA, T-Mobile, get rid of your crazy HSPAs, AWS, and let's all get together so phones just work everywhere.
Live in harmony.
God, oh man, the crazy stories of how you have to do it for Korea. You can't just go to Korea and buy a SIM, apparently. Only way to get a SIM over there is if you can prove residency. Is what Mary was explaining to us. Yeah, like it's insane. So like if you just try, like I don't know what you do if you're on CDMA and you need to go to Korea.
So when you go into the carrier store and you do the Gangnam Style dance, and you just know you're a resident, give you a SIM card.
Or they throw you in jail, even odds.
Yeah, it's nuts. And so I took the Galaxy Nexus because it works on 2100 megahertz, and I don't think any of my other devices here do. So 3G was a little wonky, but man, LTE over there is fast. All right, next email. Read it, Jerry.
I got it.
Read it.
Cameron writes, I live in Minneapolis and I'm on Sprint. I'm looking to switch to Straight Talk and want to buy the Google Nexus HSPA Plus and run it on AT&T's network. What do you know about Straight Talk service? Is it worth it at half the price of a normal plan? And then he goes on to say it's $45 a month for unlimited voice and data messaging. I use Straight Talk. Phil, you're using Straight Talk now too, right?
I'm using T-Mobile Straight Talk, yeah. I mean, it's all Straight Talk. They're just doing
it. I'm using AT&T Straight Talk and have been since I got my 1X. It's working really well for me. I
haven't thought about it once. Yeah.
It's just, I just had to enter in an APN. The APN it gives you, at least on the 1X, isn't quite correct. But other than that, it's just go. I know people with AT&T locked phones and Straight Talk works just fine. You don't have to have your phone unlocked or anything. Now, there is a bit of, conflicting information on the internet about how unlimited the unlimited data really is.
Yes.
The best I can tell is it's remember how Verizon used to throttle people if they met certain conditions. They used too much data at the wrong place at the wrong time. I think that's what it's got to be. And I believe people that are telling me I only got 1.5 gigabytes of data, and then they cut me off. On the other hand, I've used 6-7 gigabytes in a month, and yes, that includes tethering and no issues. So there's something weird going on there, and I don't know what it is.
One of the best parts of this trip, so LG gave everybody Optimus G's to use while we were over there, which is nice on a number of levels, if only to have data that actually worked. But Brian Klug from Anantech, he got throttled. they sent him a text message that he got throttled down to like 400 kilobytes per second. We're like, dude, this was like after the first day.
Oh, wow.
What did you do? So, anyway. Daniel writes, any word on the developer version of the Samsung Galaxy S3 for Verizon? I want to pay full price for the phone so I can keep my unlimited data plan. I would like to have the Samsung version as there would be less work to do to get it where I want it. Yeah, so here's the deal. And in fact, let me look right now. Because Galaxy S3. So I saw that it went on sale while I was gone. Only it's not actually for sale. It's on back order.
Well, now it was for sale for about an hour and a half at least.
Jeez, fine.
I don't know if they sold out of all three of them that they made or what was going on, but it did go on sale. As far as letting me enter a credit card number that I didn't want to click the button to go through with.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
he's not saying, but he's saying.
I am disappointed in everybody with that whole mess. Disappointed with Verizon, disappointed with Samsung, and disappointed with all you guys. Yes, you in the chat room, Corey Teague, you, John Fingers, every one of you.
It's a lot of collateral damage, Jerry.
I understand that it's easy to say, but everybody should have just stood up and said, Verizon, we're not buying the Galaxy S3 until we can buy the unlocked one. Screw you.
All right.
And you'd have seen it in a week.
Here's why I checked right now. And if I see a post on Engadget before we get a chance to do it, I'm going to be pissed, Fingers. No, but it looks like...
Quick, hold him down.
It looks like it is available once again. So 16 and 32 gigabytes.
Remember the Logitech sale by now?
Yeah, it's not showing on back order anyway. So,
but what good that people don't really think about with Samsung, and I'll use the word circumventing. I'm sure Verizon said, "Oh, that's fine. You go ahead and do it." But Samsung selling a unlocked bootloader or unlockable bootloader kind of thing, that allows Verizon to do whatever the hell they want with the other phones. And yet there's still an option for people who are listening to this podcast. Yes, the guys worked hard to get the other one unlocked. Good on them. I love to see Samsung, Verizon, or anybody that tries to lock up stuff get screwed like that. But I also understand that the alternative is a great thing. Just let Verizon do whatever they want for the people who need the security, and the rest of us can just buy it from Samsung.
True.
Let Jerry be Jerry.
Well, let everybody be everybody.
Yep.
I don't want my wife to have an unlocked bootloader on her phone.
She'd probably hit you if you told her that.
I don't want my wife to be able to click a website and slide to unlock.
Yes.
That kind of stuff bothers me more than anything else. People that need their phone to stay safe, let's keep it safe.
And with that, we better go to give Jerry time to lock his wife for the night.
Lock his wife's mood later down for the night.
Terry, sorry.
That's all right.
Be sure to email us, podcast at androidcentral.com. You can get us all on Twitter at Android Central. I'm at Bill Nickinson. Renee is at Renee Ritchie. Jerry is at BHIL. But even more important, you can find us all on Google+, which I think is much cooler. I am plus Bill Nickinson. The rest of you have weird numbers and must search your names. Peasants. Yeah. Mere peasants, the lot of you.
Oh, Phil.
As we are every week, we are brought to you by shopandroid.com, which has more Android stuff than they know what to do with. So they said, no, I mean, we sell stuff. It's good. Good cases. A lot of good Galaxy S3 stuff still coming in. Go get Lloyd t-shirts. If you haven't bought a Lloyd t-shirt yet, I don't know what the hell's wrong with you. In fact, I don't want to see you back here next week. Go buy a Lloyd t-shirt. Shopandroid.com, or you can call them at 888-468-6158 if you prefer talking to people, you strange sons of guns. 888-468-6158. And in fact, you can leave a voicemail at that same number, 888-468-6158. Only punch in extension 222, where you will hear the lovely voice of Dieter Bone, the departed Dieter Bone. He's alive, just not with us anymore. And instructions on how to leave a voicemail, or you can just email one in to the podcast. That works as well. In fact, I like those. They sound better. Jerry, Renee,
Phil.
Renee, Jerry, thank you guys.
Renee.
Let's do this again next week, and then we'll throw things all out of whack again for CTIA the week after.
I'm buying stuff now. While you're talking, I'm buying stuff on Shop Android.
Oh, awesome.
It works on iOS, probably unintentionally, but I'm buying stuff.
Sweet. Chat room, thank you guys. It's good to be back. Everybody listening home, thank you too. It's good to be back. So we will absolutely have a regular podcast again next week. And then the week after that, we'll be in San Diego for CTIA. Andrew Baca and I will be there. So I'm sure we'll podcast from there once, if not twice. And then probably not a regular one. We'll see.
I can see it now. They'll be on the beach. Andrew, make noise so it sounds like we're at CTIA.
Was that a golf swing? Was that a golf swing, Phil?
You'll hear boats in the
I'm searching for Nexuses. Leave me alone.
All right, that's it. We out. See everybody later.
Later on.